She looked into her father's eyes and swore he was telling the truth. She told social workers, her foster family, even the police, that her father acted only to protect himself. But what if every single word out of Lucy's mouth has been part of a carefully constructed lie? What if the little girl everyone on the cobbles is trying to protect is actually the one person capable of the most chilling betrayal in Weatherfield? Coronation Street has just dropped a bombshell that has turned one of its most talked about storylines completely on its head, and if you've been following the fallout from Rachel's death, you are not ready for where this is going. If you're new here or you've fallen behind on your Corrie, don't worry, because we're about to break down everything you need to know, from how this story started to the jaw-dropping twist that's got the entire fanbase in meltdown. So settle in, because this is one soap mystery that just refuses to sit still. Let's rewind for anyone who needs the full picture. Weeks ago, Coronation Street introduced viewers to Richie, the long-lost cousin of Tim Metcalfe, a man Tim hadn't clapped eyes on since childhood. Their reunion should have been a warm one, but almost immediately Richie confessed that his marriage was falling apart and that he was frightened of his own wife, Rachel. It didn't take long for that unease to curdle into horror. Tim went to check on his cousin, only to discover Rachel dead in the kitchen. In the chaos that followed, Richie was arrested and charged with her murder, insisting from the very start that whatever happened, it was self-defense after years of abuse. That left his young daughter, Lucy, orphaned in every sense that mattered, with no mother, a father behind bars, and nowhere to go. Tim, driven by guilt and family loyalty, made the decision without even consulting Sally that they would take Lucy in. Sally was blindsided, but with the girl's foster placement falling through, she couldn't bring herself to turn away a grieving child. And so Lucy moved into number 4, and Coronation Street had itself a slow-burning powder keg of a storyline. For a soap that has built its reputation on death, deception, and long-simmering mysteries, this had all the hallmarks of a classic Corrie whodunit. But it's the last few weeks that have really set fans alight, because Lucy has not been behaving like a straightforward, grieving daughter. She has remained fiercely convinced that Richie killed her mother in self-defense, insisting she personally witnessed Rachel attacking him, and that conviction has spilled over into real hostility toward the people around her, including a confrontation with Lily that left another character injured when she stepped in to break it up. Viewers online immediately clocked that this was not the reaction of a simple, innocent bystander. There was something too rehearsed, too defensive, about the way Lucy kept insisting on her father's version of events. Then came the moment that changed everything. Lucy pushed him to explain why Richie had gone back home that night at all, when he had supposedly been trying to escape Rachel, and it emerged that Tim had actually encouraged his cousin to return and try to patch things up with his wife, a fact he had been keeping hidden. Sally warned him outright that hiding the truth from Lucy was a mistake, and she could not have been more right. Guilt has been eating away at Tim ever since, especially once Richie pointed out that none of this would have happened if Tim hadn't pushed him to go home in the first place. But it's what's happened most recently that has fans absolutely convinced there's a far bigger secret buried underneath this whole story. Lucy asked Tim to take her to see her mother's body at the undertaker's, only to lose her nerve the moment they reached the door, and in that emotional moment, Tim finally admitted just how responsible he feels for Rachel's death. It should have been a moment of connection between the two of them. Instead, it triggered something far darker. Sally had arranged counseling for Lucy in the hope of helping her process her grief, but Lucy used the session instead to unleash her fury at both Sally and Tim. Back at the house, her anger reached boiling point. She hurled a bowl of popcorn across the room at young Joni, branded the entire household a bunch of liars, and stormed upstairs in tears. On its own, that might read as a troubled teenager lashing out at a family she never asked to live with. But what happened next is the moment that has completely rewritten this storyline. Once she believed she was finally alone, Lucy secretly took a phone call from Richie in prison, and what he told her sent a chill through anyone watching. He instructed her to stick to their story, not tell the truth, not hang in there,
Stick to their story.
Those 4 words are doing an enormous amount of work because they confirm, in Richie's own voice, that there is a story, a version of events the two of them have agreed to present, rather than a simple, honest account of what happened that night. It is the clearest signal yet that everything Lucy has told Tim, Sally, social services, and quite possibly the police could be an elaborate lie that father and daughter constructed together. And that changes absolutely everything about how we've been watching this storyline. Every outburst, every flash of temper, every moment where Lucy seemed just a little too desperate to defend her father suddenly reads differently. Is she simply a traumatized child clinging to the only parent she has left? Or is she a frightened accomplice, terrified that the truth will unravel and destroy both her father and herself? Coronation Street has now all but confirmed the theory that so many fans have been floating for weeks, that Lucy is not merely a grieving bystander in this tragedy, she may be at the very heart of it. It's worth remembering just how loudly viewers were already shouting this theory from the rooftops before this latest twist even aired. Long before the phone call scene, fans took to social media in droves, with one viewer writing that they wouldn't be surprised if Lucy turned out to be the one who actually killed her mother. Another declared flatly that they believed Lucy did it, and that people had heard it there first. Discussion threads lit up with viewers dissecting every twitch and outburst from the character, with one particularly popular theory suggesting that Richie is taking the fall for his own daughter specifically, so she never has to face the consequences of what really happened in that kitchen. What's remarkable is how quickly those fan theories, dismissed by some as wild speculation just weeks ago, are now looking less like guesswork and more like they've been reading the script in advance. Soap opera outlets have been keeping a close eye on the story too, tracking every twist in the spoilers as the plot edges closer to a reveal. The framing keeps circling back to the same haunting question, one that's now being asked outright. Could Lucy actually have been the one responsible for her mother's death? That question is no longer being treated as fringe fan speculation, and that alone tells you just how seriously this theory is being taken as the storyline barrels toward its next chapter. So what does this mean going forward? For Sally and Tim, it's a nightmare scenario neither of them signed up for. They took in a grieving child out of compassion, and now they may be unknowingly sheltering someone tangled up in the very crime that destroyed her family. Sally has already admitted she doesn't know how much longer she can keep coping with Lucy's erratic and increasingly hostile behavior, and with a visit from Ruth potentially deciding whether Lucy even stays at number 4, the ground beneath this fragile arrangement could shift at any moment. If the truth does come out, it won't just be Richie's fate hanging in the balance in that courtroom. It could be Lucy's freedom and her entire future too. For Tim, the guilt storyline only deepens. He already believes he's partly responsible for setting the tragedy in motion by convincing Richie to go home that night. If it turns out Lucy played an active role in her mother's death, and that he's been unknowingly helping shield her from justice, the emotional wreckage for his character could be some of the heaviest material Joe Duttine has been given in years. And then there's Richie himself, played by Nathan Sussex, whose plea of self-defense suddenly looks a lot more complicated. Is he protecting himself, or is he protecting his daughter at the cost of his own freedom? Prison visiting room scenes are already showing him pleading with Tim for support, and every one of those conversations now carries a second, darker meaning. There's also real speculation swirling about how this could tie into a much bigger story already in motion on the cobbles. Coronation Street has been building toward a major flash-forward murder mystery, with a special episode that jumped viewers into the future to reveal that Betsy Swain will discover a body next spring, with 5 possible victims already lined up among the show's current troublemakers. While Lucy and Rachel's story appears to be its own self-contained tragedy for now, soap fans are well aware that Weatherfield writers love to let separate threads collide when you least expect it, and with trust, lies, and hidden guilt already at the center of both stories, nobody would be shocked if these plot lines end up brushing against each other before the year is out. For now, though, all eyes are on that prison phone call and the 4 words that changed everything. Stick to their story. Whatever really happened the night Rachel died, it's becoming harder and harder to believe that Lucy is simply an innocent child caught up in her father's mistakes. The performance she's been putting on for Sally, for Tim, for social workers, and possibly for the police, may be one of the most chilling deceptions Coronation Street has attempted in years, and it's coming from a character young enough that most viewers never saw it coming. So to sum it all up, Rachel is dead, Richie is behind bars claiming self-defense, and his daughter Lucy has moved in with Tim and Sally while insisting she witnessed everything that happened that night. But a secretly recorded phone call has just revealed that Richie told Lucy to stick to their story, all but confirming that the account we've been given may be a lie the two of them built together to protect themselves. Whether Lucy is a terrified victim of circumstance or something far more dangerous, one thing is certain: this storyline is only just getting started, and Coronation Street has never been afraid to let its youngest characters carry its darkest secrets. What do you think really happened the night Rachel died? Do you believe Lucy is hiding something, or is she just a scared kid trying to protect the only parent she has left? Drop your theories in the comments below. I want to hear every single one of them. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because this Coronation Street mystery is about to get a whole lot bigger, and you will not want to miss what happens next.